Hi, my name is Cameron Gallagher. Welcome to my channel. And today I'm going to be going over the behind the scenes of my latest short film, Two Players Required. So I normally do a lot of behind the scenes on the YouTube channel We Are Film, but I wanted to bring some of the short film specific behind the scenes to my YouTube channel here, where a lot of the short films are posted. That way, hopefully that same audience can kind of see what goes into making these short films and how we do it. So to go back, Two Players Required really started as kind of a warm-up short film for a larger short film that we had planned called It Visits Me. So I really wanted to just get back, hands on the camera, and kind of go back to basics and really challenge myself creatively with creating something with a very small crew where I kind of pretend like I was 16 years old and I was making shorts by myself or with a few friends. I feel like over the last 2 years, I had really been chasing the idea of the Rickety Man and the sort of big budget project where we had, a bunch of people doing different jobs. And I really wanted to pull back and just get back to something that's scary, that is simple, and that I can do pretty much with a stripped down crew of just a few people and some good cast, and really just kind of get to the core bones of why I love making films. So a while back I had this idea of scary Jumanji. Basically I was taking a bunch of films I knew and saying like, okay, what would a scary version of those be? And one of which was Jumanji, although I kind of argue Jumanji is sort of a scary movie anyway. But my idea was, what would it look like if Jumanji and this idea of a board game and kind of playing a board game with the board game itself became a horror film? It's something that's really simple, it's scary, and it's something that can be easily done in a small location in one day and just, again, very back to basics. So I'd found a bunch of old board games that were my grandmother's, all from the 70s, some of which included Clue, Hangman, Masterpiece. Clue I actually played quite a bit myself. And I kind of had this imagery of the idea of looking down at a board that was a house and that maybe even kind of resembles where you are as a person, and realizing that maybe there's something deeper going on with this board game and there's something creepy there. Of course, I had my apartment as an easy location. Of course, it's free, it's easy to move around, it's fairly large, and there's high ceilings. So I knew we could get away with a lot of stuff there. And again, kind of playing with that warm-up idea, I talked to Sarah, who is in The Undoing, and of course is in our newest short film, It Visits Me. And Sarah was totally down to do another short film, something really small. Sometimes I feel like when you haven't done it in a while, you feel a little out of practice. And I kind of felt a little out of practice. So getting to do this again felt like it rejuvenated and kind of got those creative juices flowing again and got me excited. So of course, Jeremiah Lewis, who is the writer and producer, he went off, did his magic, and wrote an awesome short script that really kind of went a little bit deeper than just the surface level. And I think that was something we wanted to try to do, was have a really simple, basic idea that's scary, that's fun, and that of course we can accomplish. But we really wanted to hint at something a little bit deeper, in the idea that our lead character is missing someone. She's moving out or moving into a new house. It's really up to the audience's debate on that one. And someone's stuff is packed, most likely someone who's either left or who isn't around anymore, and that's where they find the board game. And throughout the first part, when she's playing the board game alone, of course from a horror perspective, this sets off the idea that she's playing the board game by herself when she needs a second player. But more than that, it also hints at the idea that she misses someone maybe is in a different stage of their life that she wishes she was at, or she wishes she was with them. Again, it's just kind of an open to interpretation, but I think that embedding those deeper emotional roots inside of a basic scary story can help the character just be that much more relatable, and it was something that we hopefully did and accomplished during the short. So I had a conversation recently with Zach Kupperstein, who is the DP of Barbarian and recently Don't Move and The Vigil, and he had some really amazing insight into pre-production and how he does things like shot listing, storyboarding, and photo boarding. One of the things that he said was you wanted to show up on set and you wanted to be the genius, right? You wanted to look like the genius on set. You were well prepared, you had everything planned out, and that way you really ironed out any details beforehand. So I used an awesome Google Sheets template that he had sent me for a shot list, and I really went through and thought of every single shot that I possibly could as the story was laid out, but I thought of it completely creative. I was just solely into the idea of what creatively would I want to see, forgetting about practicality, forgetting about any realistic issues, just what would the story look like if I could shoot it perfectly. So after that and creating that storyboard, I had a sense of what it should look like for the most part, and then it was cutting it down to what do we actually need, schedule, what's that gonna allow, and what are some things that just maybe aren't possible. A few really fun shots that were in mind were some of the split diopter shots. I'd gotten a split diopter pack a while ago for the We Are Film channel to do some kind of special effects fun shots. But I always knew in the back of my mind that I wanted to replicate these split diopter shots from John Carpenter, Tarantino, and I knew there was a great couple moments in the short In particular, of course, when she sees the box in the opening, and then later on when she sees the piece move. So after shot listing, I actually used Zach's recommendation again by using the CAD Rage app on my phone, and I photo storyboarded the entire short. So I actually sat down with my brother. Of course, I was in the location, so that helped a lot. And I just took pictures with my iPhone and made sure that it looked pretty much the way I wanted to. Try to get the lenses correct, the angles correct. And I highly recommend, if anyone hasn't done this, try it. Shot list, take your iPhone out, use like something like the CAD Rage app. It is a paid app, but you can get free versions as well. And go out there and shoot a version of your film just on your cell phone. It could be just with you or somebody else, or maybe one or two people, and get a sense of what works and what doesn't, because that's the easiest, most low budget way to do it. You don't have a camera, you don't have lighting, you don't have people waiting on you. You can visualize the entire film before you ever shoot it. And again, that was what Zach did on Barbarian, The Vigil, Don't Move, and a lot of his other projects. So it was really just nice seeing it not only at the small end here, but also can work at the high end. So I knew one of the biggest things was creating a scary creature, but obviously having to keep budget in mind. So a lot of what I had to do was figure out, what can I show on camera? What can I not show on camera and let the audience project? And then what's practically possible and cheap? So I actually went to Spirit Halloween just as they had opened, and I bought a clown kit, and it was all like this kind of white creature clown with these big giant hands that were kind of the look I was going for. But I brought them home and I spray painted them black. A few coats later, they looked awesome. They had a little bit of a gloss to them, so light would reflect, it would really catch. And I knew that the hands were gonna be a major portion. The idea that the hands would pull back from the blinds, the hands would be what you see coming out of the box, and then of course the hands would be the last moment over the shoulder. So really it was trying to create a scary creature that we never actually see. So this was really just like 30 bucks for the creature and then some spray paint. One of the really fun gags that we knew we wanted to do was move the game piece on the table, of course to establish the idea that there is a second player there. Jeremiah geniusly just put a magnet inside of the bottom of the game board piece. He actually cut out some of it and glued it in there so that way it would stay, and then got a nice heavy magnet set and used that to drag the board game piece. And that shot is as simple as Jeremiah's arm is underneath the table dragging the board game piece, and it looks awesome. It does what it needs to do. And I think having the wider shot where you can see there's nothing there and his arm is hidden underneath the table, it just makes it look so much better because the piece is physically moving. It's not CG, there's no strings, there's no weird painting stuff out. So although we had a very small crew on set, we had some of my absolute favorite people to work with. Jacqueline, of course, who is basically my sister-in-law, but she is an audio genius, both on the production end and the post-production end, although I'll talk that in a little bit. Jacqueline's just a master at what she does, is so talented, and is always able to really just get some of the best sound that I've ever heard raw out of the microphone, and then do wonders with it later on. So this is the first time actually working with Taylor, and Taylor is an incredible filmmaker just in general, super talented when it comes to creating films, music, all kinds of stuff. But he was so helpful on set, and it was amazing just having him there and working with him. And we brought him over to It Visits Me as well, and he's definitely gonna be a future collaborator just in general. He's got awesome projects too that we're gonna be working on. So it was great to work with him, and it was just so nice to have somebody who was so keen on every element of filmmaking and could always be a step or two ahead of me along the way. And of course we had Jeremiah as always, and Jeremiah was working as producer. He was doing a lot of different hats. He was getting food ready, making sure everyone was okay, kind of overseeing the whole production as a whole. And I mean, I can't speak highly enough of Jeremiah and what he does on set, and of course before that when he's the writer. So he knows how to really carry the story over and just make sure everything works smoothly and goes well. So one of the big things in this kind of mantra of going back to basics was trying to use as minimal gear as I possibly could, almost as a challenge. Again, I thought back to myself when I was 16, 17 years old and I was making these films. You know, what did I have? I had a camera, I had a microphone, and I had maybe 1 or 2 lights. So I actually challenged myself to only use 2 lights the entire film. So I actually used my Aputure 120T, which is one of the first lights I ever bought and is probably something you can buy for like $100 on eBay or something. Honestly, I probably could have used just like a big tungsten bulb if I really wanted to. And then I used my Pavo tube. So this is a RGB tube, but these are actually fairly cheap in the scheme of things. And what was really nice is I could have the Pavo tube set up as kind of the moonlight in the other room. And then I just used the 120T with a softbox. The softbox was like a newer softbox, newer the company. So you can get it on Amazon for maybe 40, 50 bucks. Over and all, the lighting package was pretty inexpensive. Now, obviously, I own a production company. I was shooting on my Red Komodo and the Mikey Cinema lenses. So yes, obviously the Red Komodo and the Mikey Cinema lenses do an incredible job of making things look awesome. Really, in the scheme of things, you probably could have shot it on almost any camera. My GH5 would have probably done just as well and create a good looking image that you can absolutely use, and it looks awesome. And it wasn't so much the idea of using budget equipment, like using cheap gear, but it was really just the idea of using as minimal gear as possible. Most things were on a tripod. I was really just using my tripod to kind of tilt or pan with whatever the action was, or go handheld for some of the shots. And again, kind of push to the side some of those, the gimbal and the dolly and all those extra things, which can be amazing and can have their place. But it's what is the basics? What is back to creating something that's scary, that's effective, and that's a good story? So we shot everything in one day at my apartment, and it was honestly a pretty smooth day. So we blacked out the sliding glass doors at my house and some of the other lights, but there really isn't a ton of windows at my apartment, so it made it really easy to make it pitch black in there during the day. And we started our day right around 9-10 a.m. to kind of get things prepped and ready. And we used some old boxes that Jeremiah found, some cardboard boxes from a recycling center to set up. We moved my couch and table out and made it look like things were kind of in the process of moving. We went to Home Depot and got some clear plastic and threw it over some stuff to look just again like it's someone moving in or moving out. So we spent a lot of time looking at some of those details and making sure that was ready to go. But once we got shooting, we really had about 30 shots we were gonna get in the entire day. And somehow we wrapped around like 5-6 p.m. So we were really on the money, and I was really incredibly proud and happy with how everyone did. Sarah did an incredible job. Sarah is like a one-of-a-kind talent when it comes to acting, and their talent just goes beyond acting, just being such a nice person and so easy to work with. Sarah was so good at being able to be so subtle with emotion, yet also making sure to hit those moments of scared and sad. And the crew did an incredible job of being speedy, keeping things on the move, and being able to just be flexible. And that was kind of the fun part, is although we had this really good plan with a shot list and storyboard, and we pretty much stuck to it most of the time, there was still that fun and flexible nature that we had that I love about kind of that getting back to basics. We felt like we could go out there and make something that was interesting, and it was a real creative collaboration. So post-production was pretty much the same, keeping that same strip back. I did basically the entire edit and color grade myself, with, of course, talking to some people and sending around, getting some feedback. And I want to give a special thanks to Dylan Clark and Spencer Keller, both awesome filmmakers. If you haven't seen their stuff, go check them out. They're incredible directors. They have some amazing stuff, but getting some great feedback from them was awesome as well on the edits. One thing I was really excited to do this time around was work with the brand new composer, Ryan Shreves. So he had worked with Dylan and Spencer, and they highly recommended him. Ryan just really understood sound. He really understood the idea of the project and the scope, and was able to create a really primal sounding score that just layered so nicely underneath while still hitting these kind of emotional beats and carrying through a nice motif of loneliness and kind of curiosity that sort of moves throughout the film. Ryan also is working on our new short film, It Visits Me, so I'm very excited to see how we move forward with that. And he's just been an awesome collaborator, and it's been a lot of fun working with him, and I'm very excited for the future of working together and creating some really nice, scary scores. Jacqueline dove in and did some incredible work on the post sound. She really went through and synced up everything from breaths to adding some extra Foley and really just filling out a kind of basic sound, right? We really wanted the short film to be very stripped back in a sense of there's not these incredible over-the-top sound effects, and really take this very minimal soundscape but make it feel so much bigger and also more impactful as well. And then just like that, the short film was done. And we put it out on YouTube, and honestly, the feedback has been incredible. Right now, it's right around over 38,000 views, and it's been really awesome to see everyone's feedback and to hear so many people love it or enjoy it, especially during the spooky season. They were able to sit down and watch it and get scared. And of course, that's what I enjoy at the end of the day, is being able to see people enjoy these films and have a good time. So I have to thank the cast and crew, because really, if it wasn't for their incredible work, their hard work, their passion, their love for film and all of these projects, this film wouldn't exist, and neither would any of the films I've ever worked on or will work on. So I really want to give a huge shout out to them. And of course, if you want to follow any of them or contact any of them, it's all down in the description below. Hit them all up. They're all geniuses and such talented people. Be sure to stay tuned too for the short film It Visits Me. We're probably going to be hitting the festival circuit first, but if you reach out, we might be able to get you a private link. So please feel free to visit my website, contact me. I would love to chat about horror films, filmmaking, any of that kind of stuff. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching this behind the scenes, and I really hope this has been a little bit insightful, and I will catch you guys later.